So this is the birth certificate. I can't deny that part of the inspiration to put this up is the fact that this was such a big deal with one of our recent presidents. So it's interesting to just put your birth certificate out there. This is my social security number on my arm, so I live a form of radical honesty where I don't really like secrets. Let's see, what is the point of life? If it's to live and examine life, then I guess secrets are important for some things, and tactically, I'm not going to be stupid to make myself vulnerable in business or personal life, but I feel I'm quite capable, and I can afford to put my social out there. Uh-oh. There you go, refocused. So yeah, I put a freeze on my credit and put my social on my arm. Haven't faced any adverse consequences. Did that around 2014 and maybe 13, and then it turns out that all of our numbers are hacked anyways. If you're an adult in America, I think over half were compromised, so your social's probably been compromised too. So all these little ideas might be ahead of their time. I just think it's silly for someone to give you a secret number. So I don't know if putting my birth certificate out there is bad as well. I mean, I guess I have so many parts of my identity out there now that if you really wanted to, you could reconstruct it. But if I had to really think about why I put all these documents out there, why I dox myself, really, it's because since I was young, I always cared a lot about politics. And one of the ways that you can be politically intimidated is by people messing with your identity. So if I dox myself, then we take that off the table. So I've lived exposed. So that's one thing. Just like recently I ruined my credit. But before I become a public figure, I like to cash in my credit before other people do. So I'm pretty sure there's ways that you can go about securing yourself. I guess it's also a form of stress test. Yeah, put your stuff out there, see what happens to you, and then it teaches you how you can secure yourself. And if there's no such thing as security, then might as well face the consequences of that sooner than later. So other than that, the birth certificate, other than the political and the identity theft thing, is just interesting. That let's see, is the social on here? Do they put it on your birth certificate? Let's see. Let's look at the top. We have me, David Allen McNerney, male, single. Oh, I see, single instead of twins. I'm like, are they asking you if you're single or married on your birth certificate? March 15th, 1982, which is relevant. One of my poems is King's Quarters, talks about the Ides of March. I always thought that was cool. I always looked at it more literary than political. When Julius Caesar died, just more Shakespeare, Ides of March type thing, but that's cool. I mean, any date. If you look for patterns in numbers or dates and stuff, you'll find patterns. So it's not that the pattern's important, but it's cool because it's part of your identity. It's your pattern. My eyes are brown. If they're green, then I'd attach meaning to green. I attach meaning to March 15th. You can attach meaning without turning the meaning into a religion or a dogma or blah, blah, blah. So Ides of March, that's cool. Born at 1413, so 213, that's cool. Glendale Adventist Medical Center, 1509 Wilson Terrace, Glendale, Los Angeles. Timothy Albert McNerney, my father. And he was 28 at the age. And then Guillermina Gonzalez Navarro, my mother. Apparently she was named after Wilhelmina, Spanish queen at the time, because my grandpa wanted her to be a strong woman, which she was. The youngest of maybe 10. Her mother died 2 years later, giving birth to the 11th in her 30s. Her father would come back every 2 years from his business trips, have another kid to make up for his infidelities. It is what the stories go. And then I think on my mom's side, so she's the youngest, so when she was like 6 maybe, then her oldest brother took them outside the father's house. So my grandpa had money, and he had all these kids, and then he was a widower. And so when my mom was like 6, but then the oldest were like in their late teens, early 20s, they decided to raise the whole brood on their own, all 10 kids, because my dad was in the world and they had become born-again Christians in Mexico. And so they took the family outside the father's sinful house and then raised the kids. And it wasn't as tragic. What I'm learning later on is that my grandpa went had in hand, as it were, to the oldest brother's house where all his children were, and lived with them. But he said, when I live in your house, I'll live by your rules, so he could have a relationship with his kids. So he came back and lived with his kids, and it wasn't as tragic, but my mom was raised by her older siblings more than her father, and her mom died when she was really young. So she pretty much calls herself an orphan, but then she has 9 older brothers and sisters who created this tribe, who are slowly passing. She said when she was younger, she was always sad that she would have to watch all her brothers and sisters pass, because she kind of recognized as the young age, all these like older thoughts you have when you're a child. She had these older thoughts, existential thoughts. It's interesting. Guillermina Gonzalez Navarro. So this is 3/18/82. So 3 days after I was born, you get a birth certificate apparently. Can't read the physician's name. Ray Iskander, MD. Okay. Chevy Chase Drive, Glendale. I always wondered that. Was Chevy Chase named after the street, or was the street named after Chevy Chase? I think Chevy Chase took his name from the street. I think that's what it was. He took his name from a street in LA. I'm not sure. That's before my time. April 23rd, 1982. And I don't even know how these dates work out. But apparently there's no social on here. You can opt in or out of getting a social security number. The reason why I feel it's political is because I feel that they use the social security numbers to borrow against. They borrow against our serialized numbers of the citizens so they can fund these wars of aggression, and that's the main pattern of our civilization. Wars of aggression around the world to control natural resources, and we're just all pawns in this game. And that's, I guess, the sum total of my political philosophy today. We're going to check to see if I'm right, or how right I am. Nothing's black and white. Maybe some of it is that, but some of it is just natural human stupidity. But the socials have a part in it. That's why I did that, because I was going to go deep into I was going to go deep into real estate, because in 2011-12, after Occupy Wall Street, I was like, time to do the money thing. I've done the hippie thing. I've done the poor, starving artist thing. I think I need to round out my life experience, because I'm insecure about money. I never really had it in my life. So 2012, I started doing real estate. And then 12 to 16, I made about $500,000. Didn't keep any of it, because that's a whole nother lesson to learn. But I lived well, and now I think I'm a little bit less insecure about money because I've had it. I've done some cool stuff. But I did the social as a kind of like, in case I get too deep in this world, let me just make sure I know which way is up. And I have. I've been at real estate signings, closings with people with serious money. And then people say, oh, what's that number on your arm? Trying to just small talk while we're waiting for the paperwork to sign. Thinking it's like maybe my grandparents, or it's like, oh, is that your grandparents' Holocaust number? And also because I look Jewish. And I think we are. I think my grandma's Jewish, so technically my dad's Jewish. But then since it's my dad, not my mom, I'm not Jewish. I'm not sure how it works. Mor Yosef, my grandma's last name, maiden name was Mor Yosef, the people of Joseph. So we trace that down, but they stopped practicing around World War II. But yeah, they're like, is that your grandpa's number or something? And I'm like, no, that's my number, because actually we're all a part of this system of debt slavery, which forces us to have perpetual warfare to fight over natural resources. But you want to hand me my commission check? And so this number is a little silly and a little risky, but it has started interesting conversations in my life. I don't have any other tattoos. I might get more. I have like 20 that I wanted to get, but this is the one that I told myself, before I go so much from really idealistic artist and hippie protester, blah, 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 to like just put on my money hat. And I actually, for 4 or 5 years, put all of the writing aside, all the idealistic stuff aside. I still, always all my life, compulsively created art, but I stopped making it a priority. Just shelved it. But the tattoo was like my lifeline, and throughout my professional career, it's brought up some really cool, interesting conversations, reminded me of some ideals. So this birth certificate, I guess, is another one of those documents. It's pretty cool.